planets are hard to find out. Temperate zones and tropic climes, and on through currents and thriving seas, and winds blowing through breathing trees, and strong ozone and safe sunshine. Good planets are hard to find, yeah.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
Coming up in the automatic sequence, about 10 or 15 seconds from this time. All still go at this time. Neil Armstrong reported back when he received the good wishes. Thank you very much. We know it will be a good flight. 2 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. The target for the Apollo 11 astronaut, 55 seconds and counting. Neil Armstrong just reported back. It's been a real smooth countdown. We passed the 50-second mark. Power transfer is complete. We're on internal power with the launch vehicle at this time. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go with Apollo 11. 30 seconds and counting. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. T-minus 3. We are go with all elements of the mission at this time. We're on an automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events occurring over these last few minutes. The members of the launch team here in the control center monitoring a number of what we call red line values. These are tolerances we don't want to go above and below in temperatures and pressures. They're standing by to call out any deviations from our plan. The vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the propellant tanks are concerned, and all is still go as we monitor our status for it. We just passed the 2-minute mark in the countdown. T-minus 1 minute, 54 seconds and counting. Our status board indicates that the oxidizer tanks in the second and third stages now have pressurized. We continue to build up pressure in all 3 stages here at the last minute to prepare it for on the Apollo mission, the flight to land the first men on the moon. All indications coming in to the control center at this time indicate we are go. 1 minute, 25 seconds and counting. Our status board indicates the third stage completely pressurized. 80-second mark has now been passed. Go on full internal power at the 50-second mark in the countdown. Guidance system goes on internal at 17 seconds, leading up to the ignition sequence at 8.9 seconds. We're approaching the 60-second mark. 40 seconds away from the Apollo 11 liftoff. All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower clear. Plus 30 seconds.
Altitude, velocity, light. 3.5 down, 220 feet. 11 forward, coming down nicely, 200 feet. 4.5 down, 5.5 down. 100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. Okay, 75 feet. Car's looking good, down a half. 6 forward. 60 seconds. Lights on, forward. Forward. 40 feet, down 2.5. Picking up some dust. Great shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. Forward. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man, 1 sign-up lead for mankind. I can suggest exactly what the layer pictures showed when they pushed away a little bit. You can see force transmitted through the upper surface of the soil in about 5 or 6 inches of bay. It breaks loose and moves as if it were caked on the surface when in fact it really isn't. I noticed in the soft spots where we have footprints nearly an inch deep that the soil is very cohesive and it will retain a slope of probably 70 degrees on the side of the footprint. Three, two, one, ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector grid. X thought. Pitch over.
$5 billion years ago, a vast cloud of gas and dust floated through the galaxy we call the Milky Way. The ghostly remains of a great star that had died in a gigantic explosion. The gas and dust is twisted and shaped by magnetic forces, electrical currents, and the subtle pull of gravity. As it swirls around a thickening core, the huge cloud gradually flattens into a disk. Dust and gas gravitate slowly inwards, and eddies begin to form in the cloud. Particles of matter cluster into solid bodies. The larger bodies continue to grow, sweeping up particles and dust as they orbit the condensing core of the disk and begin to heat under the increasing gravitational pressures. In the central core of the disk, incredible heat is being generated, hotter and hotter, until it reaches critical temperatures. And then, billions of years ago, a nuclear reaction occurred, and our sun was ignited.
A flyby of Venus by Mariner 10 enabled the spacecraft to conduct atmospheric studies and collect photographs of the planet's extensive cloud cover. While Venus's clouds are nearly featureless in visible light, Mariner 10's ultraviolet camera filters captured them in never-before-seen detail.
The Mariner 10 cameras photographed Venus in high-resolution sections, each photograph covering only a small portion of the planet. The frames were then pieced together into mosaics to give a detailed picture of the entire planet.
The most prominent thing that one can see is a very bright south polar cap, probably a great vortex, almost like a huge cyclone. And there are dark streaks that come into this as though they're winding up like taffy. And from those mosaics, it was possible to create a time-lapse movie of the rotation of the Venus atmosphere during the period of time Mariner 10 flew by and flew away from the planet.
After leaving the gravitational field of Earth, Mariner 10 began its long voyage to Mercury. The gravitational field of Venus was used to bend the flight path of Mariner 10 inwards towards Mercury. Then the gravity of the Sun pulled Mariner towards its first encounter with the planet. In March of 1974, Mariner 10 flew past Mercury. During the next year, it would perform 2 more flybys. Mariner 10 revealed the planet in startling detail. There is a small planet so near the Sun that it is scarcely visible in the bright glare of our star. Like an elusive ghost, it is best observed from Earth in the twilight hours, when the Sun is gone from the sky. The ancient Romans gave it its name, Mercury. So little was known about the planet that scientists could only guess at its origin and evolution. Infrared showed that Mercury's surface ranges in temperature from 700 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees below zero, the widest temperature range of any planet. The ultraviolet experiment revealed that Mercury has a very thin atmosphere of helium. The Mariner 10 photographs have revealed these early craters to scientists for the first time. One of these craters was formed by a massive rock, perhaps a small planet that crashed into Mercury. In the Mariner 10 photographs, half of this huge crater was hidden on the night side of the planet. Today, this huge crater is called Caloris. The impact spewed millions of tons of debris across the surface of Mercury, creating a ring of mountain ranges over a mile high. The floor of this basin was split by great surface cracks, wide and deep. This set the stage for the final episode in the history of Mercury, a period of light cratering of the Great Plains. In this time, Mercury died. The internal heat that triggered many of the events in the planet's history turned off. And for 3.5 billion years, Mercury has remained as we see it today.
The spacecraft enters the atmosphere of Mars about 100 miles above the surface, traveling at about 18,000 miles per hour. 7 minutes later, it has to be traveling at 1 or 2 miles an hour to make a soft landing on the surface and not collide and crash to the surface.
Their lander, which had a local short-range radar, decided, hey, it's time to separate. So it fell away from the back shell and the parachute that was suspending it above, and it fell away, and then they lit their rockets just a short kilometer or 2 above the surface of Mars. They used throttled engines. Other than landing on the moon, there are very few propulsion systems work with throttled engines. So they were really ahead of the game. So they lowered the vehicle down with the propulsion system until they came to a landing about 2.5 meters per second impact with Mars with a 3-legged, compressive-legged lander.
Jupiter's atmosphere displays a dazzling variety of alternating patterns. Cold, light-colored zones dominated by ammonia ice crystals in the higher altitudes, and warmer, dark belts of solid sulfurous particles in the lower altitudes. Voyager's cameras afforded scientists spectacular close-up views of the Great Red Spot, a storm 3 times the diameter of Earth raging in Jupiter's atmosphere. Voyager atmospheric scientist Dr. Andrew Ingersoll.
The Great Red Spot is a counterclockwise rotating storm, sort of like a hurricane, that has persisted for over 3 centuries. We were amazed that this spot could survive in the midst of all this turbulent activity.
With at least 16 known moons, Jupiter could well be considered a mini solar system. The Voyagers flew by the 4 largest, finding Callisto pockmarked by craters, Ganymede etched by icy parallel grooves, Europa smooth and icy, and Io glowing a cold and sulfurous red-orange. 9 active volcanoes were found on Io, the first observation of live volcanoes beyond Earth and Venus. These geysers were spewing hot, sulfurous gases 100 miles, high enough to hit a passing satellite.
What Voyager discovered was the incredible structure in the rings. Saturn's rings are really composed of countless numbers of particles, ranging from the size of dust and perhaps larger particles the size of houses. These particles are constantly bumping into each other. These grooves are there because the rings are constantly being disturbed by satellites orbiting in with the smaller ring particles themselves.
As the Voyagers swept by, sunlight penetrated, backlighting and brilliantly illuminating the splendor of the rings, like the spokes of a gigantic Catherine wheel. Uranus, in Greek mythology, is the name for the heavens. 5 years and almost 1 billion miles after leaving Saturn, Voyager 2 reached Uranus in January of 1986. Like all the other planets, Uranus spins like a top, but tipped over on its side. Strangely tilted and off-center, Uranus's magnetic field extends in a bizarre corkscrew tail millions of miles into space. Its magnetic poles are also wildly askew. Although Voyager 2 discovered 10 new Uranian moons, the most eagerly anticipated event was the close encounter with Miranda, one of the most bizarre moons in our solar system. Close-ups of Miranda revealed a strange and wondrous landscape, including a canyon 12 miles deep. Miranda may have collided with another moon, shattered, and then by the force of its own gravity slowly reassembled itself into this chunk of rock and ice. These digitized photographs are a silent testament to the violent origins of our solar system.
Observing how ring particles deflect incoming starlight is the most sensitive ring study technique known to man. The star Sigma Sagittarii provides the means to uncover the secrets of the incomplete rings. Occasionally, a ring arc blocks the starlight, revealing arc dimensions and internal structure. Usually, the arcs are in the wrong position. Undoubtedly, a few will come tantalizingly close.